Stadia podcast, episode number 1, 2, 3, 4. No, that's too far. Only 1, 2, 3, ladies and gentlemen. You're joining myself, Chris, alongside the man of many pixels.
I was waiting for you to say my name there because you always go, say Mr. Richie. He's like, I'm good, by the way.
Do I usually say that? Probably. I do,
yeah, I think
Mr.
so, yeah.
Richie, yeah, sounds about right. Anyway, folks, we are here, of course, for another amazing episode of the Sounds of Stadia podcast, where we round up all of the gaming and Stadia news for your listening or viewing pleasure right here on youtube.com/Hades Cloud Games, or up there in the digital cloud on your podcast preference of choice. Do remember, if you're watching along at home, wherever you are, give us a rating, like us, subscribe, click that bell so you're kept in the loop with all of the Stadia and cloud gaming content we do here at Helix Cloud Games. All of the juicy stuff myself, Richie and Tom bring you on a weekly basis because we've got loads of content and we've got a great show lined up for you. So, we will be covering this week, Richie, all of your January. No, we won't be covering January. It's February now.
No.
We're recording in January. It's almost February. But when this goes live, it will be on the cusp, Richie, of everybody's February Pro games. We'll be talking about all of those new titles that have just dropped on the platform right now. Also some new rated content. Stadia expanding into new territories, fingers crossed. Some big date announcements and some new Star Wars news and Crisis news coming out of those big publishers out there in the gaming world. But before we dive into all that, Richie, we need to quickly just recap on a few bits of housekeeping that we've done this past week. And I think the biggest thing we want to start this week off with is letting everybody out there know that our year anniversary of SideQuest, our topical spin-off show from this very podcast, has reached its 1 year anniversary, 52 episodes. You're proud of it, I'm proud of it, and more importantly, we got a super special guest that joined us to record episode 52. So if you are a member of the channel, you get to go right now on YouTube in the members column and check out our conversation for over an hour long with the one and only Grace Yang, ex-Stadia community manager. That's right, folks. We got Grace on the show. We broke it down. We spoke about gaming, hobbies, football, community, everything you could possibly want to know that's not NDA'd by official Google copyright laws and rules and recruitment purposes. We had a great chat. It's probably the best show we've ever done, I'd say, Richie. With a guest.
She was a absolute fantastic guest. Loved to have her on the show. She can come back anytime she wants.
100%. So that is right. You heard it here first, folks. Our members, if you are a member of the channel, just hit join below. From as little as 99p, you get to support us a little bit more. We would appreciate that support. But more importantly, I guess, is that you can go and check out that one-on-one conversation. One-on-one, one-on-two, one-on-three, whatever you would call it. The interview, conversation kind of thing. With Grace Yang, of course. She's fresh, just about to start a new job over at Wing, part of that Google team. But we love her all the same for all the hard work she did for Google Stadia back in the day, as they say. Exclusive now, it's up for members. It's available to watch this very moment. So if you cannot wait, you've got that there. But do not fear, as with all content on our channel, we don't gatekeep anything behind a paywall. We ask that you support us, but it's not a necessity. We just love you tuning in and watching and listening. It will drop on free feeds over on YouTube, as always, and it will be going up on podcast services as per standard date. So listen, hang on for that, and it will drop. But yes, go check that out. Episode 52, 1 year of SideQuest. We're over the moon. Terrific guest to have on the show, like we said, and we can't wait to see that show continue and evolve. But Richie, we're here for some Stadia news. That's what the Sounds of Stadia podcast is all about. We played this last week some more Rainbow Six Extraction.
We did.
It's doing big numbers. It's got 3 million players, apparently.
I feel we did a lot better this time, until the point with the last few maps where just everything fell apart. But our final run was epic. Way to end the string.
Oh yes, it was. If you've not checked out Rainbow Six Extraction so far, ladies and gentlemen, it's actually just gotten a 2-hour free trial on Stadia for any users, not just pro. Go check that out, 2-hour free trial. So jump in, either watch along with ours. I had a great time, Richie. I said at the beginning of the live stream, I had that kind of itch all week long from playing it last Thursday to this Thursday. It was just lingering at the back of my mind that I wanted to jump in and just do a bit more. So this Thursday we scratched that itch a little bit more, and we had a fantastic time. We jumped in with of course you lovely viewers and listeners out there. Thelon joined our squad once again, and we kicked some Arcadia ass, but we've definitely improved from week 1, I believe. And shout out to Rainbow Six Siege and Extraction, because as I said, it's apparently had 3 million active users, probably a big part down to it being free on day 1 for Game Pass. You and myself.
And all the buddy pass systems and stuff, like that's got to help.
Oh yeah, Buddy Pass went live too. We should point that out. So if you do purchase the game, you can loan up to 2 hours to another fellow player out there. However, the 2 hour free trial on Stadia kind of negates the Buddy Pass a little bit. You get your 2 hours free all the same. But yeah, we had a great time playing on Rainbow Six Extraction, and no doubt we'll be jumping in more. My guess is for this Thursday's live stream, because remember everyone, we stream every single Thursday on the channel, 8 PM GMT time. My guess is we'll probably look at one of the pro games, which we're about to delve into, because we've got a lot to pick from. And I suspect I know what I want to do, but we'll talk about it, Richie. We'll get it out there. And yeah, Thursdays, live streams, SideQuest on Fridays, free, and your podcast on a Monday. What more could you possibly want from everyone right here? Now, we do actually have, Richie.
Yes.
A bit of a Richie's Retcon ritual. We've not had one for some time.
We're always quite proud that we don't use this segment very often.
We did, yeah. This segment is specifically for when we get stuff wrong, and we are human. We don't attest to being anything else. We're not a dirty little Archean from Rainbow Six Extraction or anything like that. We are only human. Yeah. We will make mistakes, and we appreciate you guys keeping us straight. So whether that's in the comments over on YouTube, it's in the Discord chat, where of course we've got a very, very rich cloud gaming Discord chat where loads of like-minded people like yourself talk, theorize, go back and forth about everyday lives. All day, every day. Richie, Retcon Ritual.
Yes.
What did we get wrong last week?
So, we were talking about Humankind, and unfortunately, the DLC is confirmed to not be coming to Stadia for the moment.
Keywords there.
Yeah. This is kind of disappointing news, because I think we've discussed things like Civilization, Humankind, which are very much PC-centered games, could have another life on Stadia and potentially introduce traditional console players to these style of games. But I mean, I'm guessing it just hasn't sold well enough on Stadia for them to make it worthwhile and important compared to something like Steam. But I think games like Humankind still do have a future on Stadia. Stadia just needs to grow that player base and get more sales through.
Yeah, it's definitely that prioritization problem that we're seeing a lot of titles and developers have problems with, when in a busy world where you're developing for multiple platforms and there only appears to be more coming along every other year. We know Amazon Luna's not even fully rolled out yet, but they've got to be clambering for content too. Xbox is buying everybody up. But to reiterate, the Humankind version, in a frustrating way, it launched obviously as part of the Good Stuff event. We got a beta on Stadia, so there was clearly a great launch relationship with the title.
Yeah.
And then it recently just got the Fabius Maximus patch, which is the first kind of big one.
Yeah.
Recently,
it's had Direct Touch, which is a Stadia-specific feature.
Yeah, so it's working there. The Fabius Maximus patch originally did release back in October, so already the Stadia version is a few months behind.
Yeah. And
now, in fitting with that, the African Cultures DLC is now going to be a further few months behind. My guess is probably going to be in line with another April update, which they've mentioned in the forums as well.
I've got a feeling the Fabius Maximus patch and the African update are kind of probably being pre-agreed with Google, so that's the terms of the contract. Mm-hmm. They can delay it, but they can't not do it.
Yeah.
But that's probably things like Direct Touch has probably been in there as well. But unfortunately, DLC, which wasn't scheduled at the time of release, I'm guessing that's just off the table for now.
Yeah, that makes sense, and we don't begrudge them for it, because of course you, as a business, you have to prioritize your workload, and the reality is, if there's not as many people playing it, why would you not just focus on Steam and elsewhere?
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's it. In the end of the day, video games is a business. This is all our assumption here. They've looked at the sales numbers and went, we didn't sell enough on Stadia. The effort to put this over, considering it's DLC as well. So you're only getting a fraction of the people who bought the actual game, but who's going to purchase DLC.
Certainly.
It's probably just not worth unfortunately, not worth the effort for them.
Yeah. There is an interesting, possibly a SideQuest episode to be had here, and we've touched on it a little bit with quality assurance and stuff before, but legally, as consumers purchasing the game, if they're putting out content on other platforms, as someone who's bought the game, I'm sure it's buried deep in the terms and conditions where they don't need to bring it, but
I'd say DLC is a very different situation to patching an existing game, because when you buy a game, you're purchasing content when you buy DLC, you're purchasing that DLC.
Of course. But
So it comes down, I'm guessing, just comes down to the contract between developer and platform holder.
Yeah, it's an interesting one with games. It's similar to like returns and sell-ons and digital purchase and stuff. There's a whole world of that. But we will not get into that just now because we've got a juicy show lined up for you all. But we thought, again, we'll keep you straight audience out there. We don't want anyone running around trying to purchase this DLC thinking, well, we heard it on the SOS podcast. Why is it not there yet? We do our best, but we are only human. So let's, Richie, move into the bulk of the show. If you could do me the honours of introducing us to
the super sexy special Stadia story segment, aka the news.
That is right, everyone. We've got a great, juicy, crazy news week this week. Starting things off by doing a special shout out because the news is sponsored by our members. We've mentioned our members. We mentioned you get SideQuest and that lovely conversation with Grace Young, available right now. But a special shout out to our newest member, Purple Haze 614, who joins our ever-growing roster of supporters, who gets access to super stickers, badges next to his name, early access to SideQuest, and much, much more. But thank you, Purple Haze 614, for your continued support. We do appreciate you out there. So a shout out to you. And Richie,
yes,
we're almost in February. This show goes live on the 31st of January, which means the end of the longest month in the history of months is finally over. It's payday for many people out there. You guys will no doubt want to get out there, spend your well-earned money on video games, food, socialising, tickets, events, whatever you want to do.
So to the people who overspent at Christmas, you can eat again.
Yeah, you can. I am one of those people. I can finally eat food for a living. Right, but story number one, it's a big one, kicking off the month of February. We knew it was coming, we always do. We waited for the community blog post to drop, and it finally did, and it gave us seven Stadia Pro games to claim for the month of February. We knew one of them was coming all along. It's been reaffirmed, locked in, and that is the Life is Strange bundle, I guess. It's the remastered of the original game, and also Life is Strange Before the Storm remastered. So experience the BAFTA award-winning story of Life is Strange, now beautifully remastered with enhanced visuals and vastly improved animation using mocap technology. Plays Max Caulfield, a photography senior who discovers she can rewind time while saving her best friend Chloe Price from a violent altercation. The pair soon find themselves investigating the mysterious disappearance of fellow student Rachel Amber, uncovering a dark side to life in Arcadia Bay. That is Life is Strange Remastered, and of course, the Before the Storm was the famed DLC to the original. That one follows the same
serves
characters.
As a prequel.
Yeah, set 3 years before Life is Strange, you play as the 16-year-old Chloe Price, who forms an unlikely friendship with Rachel Amber, a beautiful and popular girl destined for success. When Rachel learns a secret about her family that threatened to destroy her world, it is her newfound friendship with Chloe that gives her the strength to carry on. So that is, as you said, prequel and original game. Probably, would you say, Richie, the best in the series, from your opinion?
Yeah, I'd say so. I kind of lump, when I'm thinking about Life is Strange, I lump these two in together because they're both kind of set with largely the same cast of characters in Arcadia Bay. Obviously, Max isn't really in Before the Storm much. Max is who you play as in 1, but you play as Chloe in Before the Storm. But yeah, I do think these do stand up a bit more. I did enjoy True Colours. I've never really... Life is Strange 2 never really sunk its claws into me like this one did.
Yeah, we should.
But for me, this is... Yeah, these are... If you like your narrative stories and you're not like just need full on action, definitely play these.
Indeed. These are, of course, remasters. We joked in our Discord chat. Shout out to everyone in Discord chat around they put up some 1-by-1 comparisons of the two games. Of course, many years apart, but the artistic style of the game doesn't lend itself to a remaster as much because it's quite not. I don't want to say cel shaded, but there's definitely an artistic choice which graphic fidelity doesn't really age that badly over time. I don't think the originals look that bad today, let alone without the remaster.
Yeah, I replayed them both on the run up to True Colours coming out, and the graphics, I could tell it aged a bit, but it generally didn't bother me. It didn't take anything away from the experience. So I think I said this in our Discord server. If you're returning if you've played these games before, well, and you've got Pro, great, fine, no problems. But if you're looking to purchase these and you've got them on Saturday on PS4, PS3, I can't remember, it was on PS3, probably not worth the purchase for the upgrade you get. But if you've never played them, might as well go for it.
Indeed. And they are coming as pro, so again, this was
Yeah.
promised originally back in the autumn of 2021, alongside, kind of leading up to the launch of the newer entry, True Colours,
Yeah.
but then it was, again, we mentioned at the beginning of the show, prioritisation. The developers said, actually, due to pandemic and stuff, we've had to
We need to pick
remove
one
things,
to go with.
Pick one, and naturally they went with their big summer blockbuster title to put out, and it received a bunch of Game of the Year nominations and such as well, so probably the right choice, albeit it did seem a bit odd putting the older version out after. But you and me both agree there's no real connection between the two stories. So if you've played True Colours and think, I haven't checked these ones out, they're totally unique, isolated stories. And like you said, Richie, I think along the same thought process that they're bundled into one. I think I played them as part of a bundle on PlayStation originally.
Yeah, the only real connection between Life is Strange Before the Storm and True Colours, apart from cosmetics in True Colours, is what's her name? It's not Alex. Steph. Steph does appear in Before the Storm and True Colours.
In the record shop. So yeah, you'll be familiar with Steph if
but
you check
there's
out.
many years between them, so it's basically...
There's no story beats that connect them.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we played through True Colours and it's like, yeah, okay, I know that's Steph. I know that she's from Before the Storm.
But there's no...
didn't really...
There's no direct impact on anything. So check those out, ladies and gentlemen. Fill your boots. Probably the best of the pro lineup this month, being the highest standard of quality and plenty of awards. BAFTA award-winning story, we should point out as well. I have seen some articles out there in the world of the internet this past week actually criticising this month's lineup for PlayStation Plus and saying Stadia Pro actually has a stronger lineup than PlayStation this month. And it was interesting because I think PS Plus has got the Planet Coaster Console Edition, UFC 4, and I'm blanking on the third one.
I must...
What the third one
I'm blanking on them myself.
But that's it. It's the 3 titles.
Oh, it was Tiny Tina's Assault and Dragon Key.
That's right, because that was getting criticised because it was just DLC.
Which,
I
think what this is. I haven't looked too much into it, but I think this is just a part of the Borderlands 2 DLC.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is.
That they've just spun it off into its own mini game.
Yeah.
I mean, it's worth playing. It's really fun.
That's what loads of people said, but it's interesting to think how the narrative out there may be changing a little bit.
I'd say PlayStation Plus has kind of been a bit mediocre for a while now. It's been a while since I've played anything on PlayStation that I've got on PlayStation Plus.
Yeah, same. I claim them and then never play them.
Yeah.
Like I do with quite a lot of everything, really. But yeah,
I must admit, I do that with a lot of Stadia Pro.
Yeah, same. There'll be plenty on this list that I just won't have the time to even consider because I've got better things to play. I've got Uncharted Legacy of Thieves collection. I've got Horizon on the horizon, and everything in between. So out of these, I would definitely start with Life is Strange collection on here. But yeah, it's interesting just to think how the narrative is switching, and as time goes on, I think we alluded to it on last week's show, but Stadia Pro now is over 50 games to claim day one. So if you sign up now, 50 games to claim. That catalogue still includes some massive titles. So at what point is claiming 50 games day one better than what PlayStation is offering you over there? But we won't bring Game Pass into it because that's a different conversation.
Yeah, different. That's a different tier altogether.
It is indeed.
Now,
they're not really comparable, actually. Other than
if you want to bring Game Pass into it, Game Pass wins.
Yeah, so we won't do that here.
That's
moving
it.
on, though, second game of the announcement was Cosmic Star Heroine. You play as Alyssa LaSalle. Was one of the top secret agents at the Agency of Peace and Intelligence on the planet I want to say Arenu? Why don't people just give them normal planet names, Richie? But when she uncovers a horrible conspiracy, she has to go rogue in order to save the day. Can Alyssa save the galaxy when everyone and everything is out to stop her? What do you think? Can she save the day?
I think she can if you're good enough at playing the game.
Of course, this is a pixel art style game. It's one of the games that actually came out quite some time back on Stadia.
It reminds me. I think this it might have been even on the launch on the PS. I think this was out on the PS Vita back in the day. It reminds me a bit of a SNES era JRPG a bit. Which if you're into that style of game, that's a good thing.
Definitely.
It's from the same guys who made that Cthulhu game, wasn't it, that we played?
Oh,
Cthulhu Saves Christmas. Yeah.
Yeah, it's available to claim now as well. I don't really have much to add on the back of this particular title. It's one that's not really on my radar at all.
Yeah, same. I like JRPGs. I like turn-based stuff. For this one, I just looked at it and goes, it looks fine. It's not one that's ever jumped out at me. it might be something that in the future, if I get a barren run of games, I might go, oh, that's there. I'll give that a go.
Yeah, certainly, I would agree. Cosmic Star Heroine, your third Stadia Pro game of the month. However, Richie, I tell you what I can get with, and that is a two-headed dog, or cat, very reminiscent of Cat Dog from back in the old Nickelodeon days, and that is in the fourth title, Phogs, from our good friends over at CodeSync. In Phogs, you play as a duo of dogs on a captivating, puzzle-filled adventure linked by a stretchy belly. You'll need to bark, bite, and bounce your way through obstacles set across themed worlds of food, sleep, and play in a co-op or single-player adventure. Yeah. Phogs is just one of those family games from CodeSync that just when you look at it, it just makes me smile.
You know what? I think there's a stream in this.
Oh, 100% there's a stream in this as well. I think we intended to do one ages ago, and I think a few other titles came out at a similar time.
Yeah, I think it was like I can't remember if I got a code. I think you and Tom got a code, but I don't think I got one. But like because it's the two-player games, like we only for the channel we only realistically need two of us to have a code.
That's true, but it's Stadia Pro now anyway, so anyone can play and join in. And the biggest thing for me is it reminds me of Octodad that came out on the PlayStation and Xbox back in the day, where because it's two people controlling separate parts of one entity, in this case a two-headed stretchy dog, there's loads of antics to be had of like just negotiating who goes which direction and who does what. Like part of the fun of Octodad is all the limbs are just independently controlled, so it ends up being zany and wacky just from the nature of the controls. But yeah, well, no doubt check out Phogs. You can check out too. Anyone out there who's got kids or loves a bit of couch co-op, it's definitely a title for having fun with in that. Moving things on swiftly then. Next up, because we've got plenty of games, Nanotale Typing Chronicles is also dropping onto Stadia. So Nanotale Typing Chronicles is an atmospheric typing RPG adventure set in a colourful, vibrant world. Follow Rosalind, a novice archivist, as she journeys out to explore a distant world. On her quest to gather knowledge, she collects samples of mystic natural beauties. Everything is peaceful, war is a thing of the distant past, in the shadows a tale of dissonant magic is spreading, instilling corruption into broken hearts. Now this is one of those type of games, Richie, that I'm really, really interested to play, because I don't think anyone's really spoke about it outside of its launch.
Yeah,
it uses a keyboard to write your narrative story.
Yeah, so the way you interact the game is by typing. So like actions will come up and you'll have to go, I want to pull this, so you have to type pull or push and things like that. So you type your way through the game, which I think it's a very interesting concept, especially if you're trying to teach a younger audience how to get good at typing.
Yeah, I never even thought of it from an educational standpoint.
I'd be tempted to play this just to improve my typing, because my typing's terrible. But I've just glanced at Steam and it's very positive.
Yeah,
it's only just it launched about a year ago. It's very, very positive in both all reviews and recent reviews. So it might be one to look at, even if it is that got quirky input.
Yeah, it's got a beautiful art style as well, and like you said, with that interesting take on gameplay. I didn't even think from an educational standpoint, but it reminds me actually a little bit of Lost Words Beyond the Page, how you kind of drag the words to impact the story. Yeah. But that one's obviously more of a visual. You're literally inside of a book with that one.
And this is the game that can only really work in the PC space or on Stadia at the moment.
Yeah, I believe if you use a controller, the words pop up on kind of the bottom half of the screen, but it takes away the interactive element a little bit.
If you're playing this game on a controller, why are you playing this game? It's literally called Typing Chronicles.
Yeah. Touch input, again, could be really good if the keyboard pops up, but...
Yeah, on-screen keyboard, that could work.
Yeah.
Texting Chronicles.
Texting, yeah. Nanotale texting. Well, we'll get typing... And then we'll get texting, and then we'll get like WhatsApp and iMessage Chronicles, like very far down the line.
They should do a retro thing back that's set in the 90s, where you have to press like the button like 8 times to get the character you want.
Indeed. There's an interesting theme actually developing within this month's Pro titles, and like going from Phogs with like its wacky co-op controls, and then Typing Chronicles with its input narrative. And then the next title is One Hand Clapping, recently out of its beta period. Experience a 2D platformer with a very unique mechanic. Change the world with your voice. One-hand clapping lets you discover the power that rests within your vocal cords while solving unique puzzles that will require rhyme and a good ear. You must build your confidence in your singing voice and explore several different mechanics to overcome harmonic and pitch-focused challenges. Don't be afraid of hitting the wrong notes. It's all about taking risks and learning from your mistakes. Find out how far your voice can take you. But be aware, this game is still in early development. It's not. It's out now. I'm just reading from the blog. That's me just reading verbatim.
Oh.
Anyway, it uses your voice. So we've got one that uses a keyboard to type your adventure. This one uses voice. Phogs has got crazy dogs. Life is Strange is telling a story. One-hand clapping is one I will never do on stream, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. I don't want to be singing on camera unless I'm incredibly drunk and with friends. So yeah.
And then it's your phone camera. Then you're going to wake up the next morning, look and go, delete.
Casually delete. But yes, one-hand clapping, sing your song. I've seen a few streams over it. Again, it is fun. It's fun to watch, fun to play along. The louder you are, you hit. It's almost like Guitar Hero. If instead of hitting the chords to just hit them in beat, every time you hit the chords, it progresses your character, your like movement through the world. Interesting, very different, very different. And then finally, Richie, I'll throw it over to you for the final one because your final and 7th pro game for February, that's right, 7, ladies and gentlemen, is the one and only Merek's Market, a chaotic crafting game about running a medieval shop. Take ownership of a small shop as you haggle, barter, and craft your way through a comical single-player campaign, or team up with friends to supply the whole town. Richie, you did a first look on our channel of Merek's Market.
I
That's
did.
a lovely people can go check out right now on youtube.com/HadesCloud Games. Give us your brief takedown on Merek's Market and how much fun you had.
It was actually more fun than I expected. It's similar. It's a similar style of game to something like an Overcooked, where you've got things come up. You have characters from the town will come up and go, "I want a shovel," and you have to go like make a shovel and give it to them. And you constantly have characters coming through, so you having to prep stuff. So it's that kind of style of game, but. Yeah, it was really fun. You should definitely check out my first look on it. But yeah, I think it's one that I think people should play because I think it's something that could easily be overlooked. Mm-hmm. And if you play, I think you're going to have a good time.
Yeah, I agree. It's one of those probably that once you jump into it, it's very easy to get hold of. From watching your first look, it's very easy to get to grips with exactly what you need to be doing in the game. It's quite straightforward.
Yeah, the game teaches you quite well.
Yeah. And like you said, I think Overcooked is a great comparison because it's very, very similar formula that it does follow. And we love Overcooked, you and me. We can't wait for it to finally arrive.
Bring it to Stadia.
Bring it indeed to Stadia. We'll play it.
We'll platinum in the night.
I mean, I can commit to that. We've done it before.
We have done it.
So why not?
That's the only reason I'm willing to hear now saying if it comes to it, I'm willing to make that pledge because I know we can do it.
We can. And of course, that was your pro games. We should point out as well, it'd be interesting to see if Life is Strange wasn't delayed, would we have just got the 5 pro games?
5 pro games in a month is pretty decent. If you're into the games, I think that's always going to be the issue of things like Stadia Pro and PlayStation Plus, where it's all subjective. Yeah. If you're very much into indie games and you like the different the different input systems from everything from Nanotale to one-hand clapping to Phogs, if that's something that appeals to you, then you're going to look at this and go, "This is a fantastic list of games." But if you're AAA games, newest AAA titles, you're going to look at this and go, the best of the bunch is a remaster of an old title. Mm-hmm. So it's very subjective. Yeah. I personally think it's fine. There's definitely the value there in terms of money and time. Yeah. But
each their own.
That's it. Really.
Each their own.
Yeah.
So that was, of course, from the first kind of big community blog post we got over the year. Things are ticking away over at Team Stadia now, so hopefully we'll hear some more news in the coming weeks because we are approaching on, of course, February soon, which is coming up to the anniversary.
Tomorrow.
The anniversary of a certain date in Stadia history that no one would want to bring up or repeat itself. However, we are waiting on some kind of forward communication for the year ahead still. So pro games are all well and good, but we need bigger titles because we've probably got a side quest lined up for this. I'll put something in our doc, Richie, regarding it, just purely based on the fact that there's a lot of game titles just been announced, and
we've actually got quite a few ideas for SideQuest ramped up, like stocked up already for this year, so it's going to be quite interesting.
Because we have a roadmap, that's why we have a roadmap.
Yeah.
But speaking of roadmaps and driving on roadmaps, we did actually get the good news as part of the blog, a little segment kept away, that MotoGP 21 will be roaring onto Stadia this February. That is correct. 1st of February, so tomorrow, if you're listening to this on a Monday. MotoGP, of course, is the official game covering the MotoGP franchise and racing events from the official 2021 season, and it's a feast for their eyes featuring next-gen technology. The title is more realistic than ever with new features. It's essentially, Richie, it's MotoGP, it's racing on bikes. Yeah. Not to do it any disservice, but the kind of big thing to take away from this is it's good news, because everybody who's a MotoGP fan who played MotoGP 20, ourselves included, we did it on one of our Thursday night live streams. We were terrible. We cannot ride bikes. It had been a bit of a sour point for racing fans because the newest entry didn't arrive. Of course, it came out on other platforms, this title, last April now. So, in a weird way, it's great that we've got it because we're getting a sequel. However, are we not 2 months out from getting the next iteration?
Yeah, well, it's not officially announced, I believe, MotoGP 2022, but it's highly expected to be like an April launch. The last two were. The thing about this sort of game, though, for me is this game has a very strong niche, and that niche is fans of racing games and fans of MotoGP. So I dare say people who are in that niche
already bought it.
I've probably already picked it up on a different platform.
You're completely right. If you and me wanted to play FIFA because we're big football fans, and I had that itch. I know we it's probably a bad example because we actually bought FIFA, ironically enough, way later than we normally would have done. But that was for Stadia specific. That was like 18 months ago, and so like the most recent FIFA was day and date. Yeah. So that was the first game to come to the platform. So it's like we kind of give it a semi bit of pass there, but I think we'll give it a pass as long as the next game's day and date, which we got. Yeah. And this has went the other way. Yeah, and I'm not really well aware of MotoGP, but has their season for 2021 not finished already? Like, I know Formula One's done. I know. I don't know. I'm not into MotoGP, but that's the thing. That's like, if you're into MotoGP and the season's done or almost done, you might be looking at this and going, "Is it worth it?" This is a very much. I think could be price dependent. It's on sale on Steam at the moment for £19.99. We got the last.
So for that sort of price, yeah. I could see this if this wasn't coming out February the 1st. I could see this being a pro game.
Yeah. It's weird, yeah.
Unless they're just because you feel it's on the same blog as the pro game. So if this is a pro game, I would have thought it'd be announced as. But
it's definitely not.
Who knows?
Well, I mean, strange things have happened.
It'll be March. It'll be pro game in March. Like
when the new one comes out. Everywhere else, but we digress.
After that, if people have had 1 month to buy the game, then get it told it's free on pro.
Yeah, of course, we do digress. If you are a MotoGP fan, do let us know in the comments how you feel about this. But I think, Richie, you've summed up perfectly there, saying you've got a niche audience to begin with. You don't market it, so that's
you've missed your window.
You're several months late, and the new one is also due out potentially imminently on other platforms. So again, shrunk down to who's going to buy this, and then does that then have a knock-on effect with the developers saying, well, why would we do the next one if we've got bad returns on this one? And we'll get into that because there's some other stories this week that actually do relate to that as well. We should point out, though, some games that always seem to do well on the platform are the ones from our friends over at Outright Games, and that trend has continued. We got 2 new games drop on Stadia this very week. We had the awkwardly difficult one to say, which is the Fast and Furious Spy Racers of Shifter, and we know it's pronounced Shifter, but it's spelt like it was on a license plate.
It's spelt like someone in the late 90s thinking they're like cool and edgy.
Using text messages. It's text Chronicles all over again. But yes, Fast and Furious Spy Racers Rise of Shifter is out now. The elite criminal racing organisation known as Shifter is back, and only the most talented drivers and spy weapon combat can stop them. Race as your favourite characters, including Tony Toretto, Echo, Cisco, Layla Gray, or even race as the notorious Shifter Gang during multiplayer mode. Use innovative gadgets and tear up the track in a globe-trotting tournament in story mode, couch co-op, or online multiplayer. Now, the biggest takeaway for me from this is we have a kart racer on the platform, almost. It has weapons, it has gadgets, it has blue shell, similar things. I watched our friend John Scar do a first look at it the other day over on his channel, and it looked like a passive attempt at a kart racer.
Yeah, I don't like Fast and Furious. I think it's a quite frankly terrible franchise. And this game looks mediocre at best, so I've just have very little interest. This almost feels like a game I'm surprised hasn't been... If this wasn't Outright Games, this would have been cancelled. If this was like an EA or a Ubisoft, I reckon this game would have been cancelled.
There was, if I'm not mistaken, there was another Fast and Furious game in the works with like higher level graphics. I don't think it's out yet. I'm 100% sure because they had Vin Diesel, I think, in the trailer, and I think people were making fun of this particular one. The Rise of Shifter has an art style very reminiscent to, I believe it's got a cartoon or an animated show on Netflix or Amazon or something.
I think you're thinking of Fast and Furious Crossroads.
Yes, that might be the one. Did it come out?
It came out. I'm just looking for Metacritic rating now.
This is probably reviewed higher. Of course, $34.99 right now on the Stadia store. If you're a fan of the show or you're a fan of racing games, it's a nice...
Ooh.
What? Go on. What was the damage?
Take a guess. I want you to guess. Let's make this a bit fun.
What, Metacritic?
Metacritic, yeah.
19.
User score, I'll give you, because that was 1.7 out of 10. Metascore was 35.
Okay. So
that's Fast and Furious Crossroads, not Rise of Shifter, by the way, just to make that clear.
What's Rise of Shifter while we are here? Just to see if this animated spin-off, because I think the Shifter Gang it's within the animated series.
I'll see if I can find it.
But while we do wait for Richie to find on that one, I'm actually a fan of the Fast and the Furious franchise. They have got a bit crazy. I went through a phase growing up getting into like racing cars and stuff. Well, racing. I didn't do racing, but the thought of racing cars, pass your driver's license test, and soup up your car with LEDs and nitrous oxide. None of it ever came to fruition. But I can see people playing this and having fun.
Yeah. Rise of Shifter isn't rated yet.
Really? Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting. But we also got another game to follow on from Rise of Shifter, another one from Outright Games, and that is Trollhunters, Defenders of Arcadia. Not to be confused with Arcadia Bay from Life is Strange. This is not a spin-off of Life is Strange. Jump into the world of Trollhunters as Jim Lake Jr. to stop Porgon, the trickster troll, and his sneaky plans. Team up with Claire in a couch co-op adventure, and also get a helping hand from lots more loved characters to face unknown evil forces and help a time apocalypse. Upgrade the armor, boost your abilities, and become more powerful than ever. The fate of the universe is in your hands. This one is a 2D action scroll beat 'em up. I don't really know what you would place this one as. It seems like it's taken a 2D game with 3D elements and then obviously overlaid that with the Trollhunters TV show. I think it's a DreamWorks production. This is where we need someone who is a parent on the show to say, my kid watches that, he loves it, the characters are so funny, I watch it in the background, they'll definitely be checking this one out. If it feels like we're ever not really engaged with these particular titles, they're just not in our world.
We look at it and go, it could be good, but it's clearly not for us, so it's hard to judge.
I think we've said on the show a few times before that these are the titles that when we were growing up and we played like daft little spin-off games, and we look back with such nostalgia for these titles now when they've grown into franchises unto themselves. But at the time when we were growing up with like Spyro the Dragon, my parents probably looked at that going, it's a daft dragon I've never heard of in a video game.
It's ugly as hell.
Yeah. Whereas obviously now it's looked back with such reverence, and I'm sure like these could be that too as well. So we don't mean to sound too harsh, and then we're just not children, or we're not family orientated people. So shout out to Outright Games though for bringing the library across. We do love it. That was kind of it for the community blog this week, Richie. However, eagle-eyed viewers and readers of the blog up there will have noticed a slightly different post. I don't know if you picked up on this one, actually. The community blog post, the image they always put up. We've had little chuckles and laughs with Stadia in the past about the imagery they put up on these blogs. It had an image for the game, which we've actually had rated in the past. We covered it on the show. My Hero 1's Justice 2. It was rated, I think, a few weeks back. The cover art was on the main image, and it's since been replaced and taken down.
Yeah, this is... I mean, this game's actually... I think this game's genuinely poorly titled, because if you just went someone My Hero 1's Justice 2, you have no idea what you're talking about. No. But if I went, this is a My Hero Academia game, suddenly a lot of people go, oh, My Hero Academia, I know that. Good, it's good anime. Good manga as well.
Yeah, I think I was expecting you to help us out with that one. It is available on other platforms as of now. It's from Bandai Namco, which we do know they've got a few titles out on the system. Yeah. We don't have a trailer running for it on the YouTube video right now because they copyright catches out the eyeballs, Bandai Namco. So you'll have to check out what that looks like. But
I believe it's a fighting game.
Yeah, that makes sense. We discussed it a few weeks
I don't know much about the game.
We discussed it a few weeks back. But again, terrible naming convention. However, again, it's so odd that this kind of stuff can make it through like a vetting process. Like if you're writing the community blog, how do you not check that your cover art is representative of the content?
I think this game could work really well as a fighting game, to be honest, the My Hero Academia IP, because basically My Hero Academia is based around a bunch of like students who are learning to be heroes and all have like a quirk, which is basically their unique superpower. Mm-hmm. So every character will have a unique set of abilities. So it could translate really well into a video game. So you could have one guy whose sweat is explosive, or someone's super strong. It's weird. It goes in. It has some weird twists. I think honestly, when I've watched the anime, and you can feel almost like the Marvel influence on the author in the way it is. It's really good. I recommend watching the show. Actually,
is this anything related to One Piece World Seeker, or am I just getting
absolutely not?
Absolutely not. Other than the big anime.
I think they're both published in the same weekly serialization over in Japan, but they are different authors entirely. So different worlds, not connected. Okay,
so the stretchy guy isn't someone who's got a power in this world. Okay.
No.
That's my.
Maybe it's DLC.
Maybe it's DLC. Speaking of DLC and content, rich games, EA and Respawn surprised everyone this week by coming out and confirming that they are working on 3 Star Wars games in development. Now, we do want to cover that, of course, here because we are both big Star Wars fans. I'm a massive fan of Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order and Battlefront 2, in fact. But they came out as part of a post to basically confirm that the follow-up to Jedi Fallen Order is in production right now. There's actually big rumours that it's going to be announced at Star Wars Celebration this summer with a Q4 release date. I've seen Jeff Grubb over on Twitter actually confirm that he's heard rumours that it might be out by the end of the year, which we've theorised before would seem passable. Having all the assets and the engine and the characters and mocap and stuff.
I believe it was 2017.
Mm-hmm.
Jedi Fallen.
19.
So it's been 2019, but still it's been 3 years, and there was no real DLC. So
indeed. So I'm looking forward to that one. And then they also confirmed that another team at Respawn is working on a Star Wars first-person shooter with former LucasArts Vice President of Development from the Battlefront games as well. So that's the executive producer and development team from Battlefront moving over to a first-person shooter. DICE in particular will be working on sorting out whatever's going on with the Battlefield world over there. So this is purely Respawn with kind of probably some slight cross-pollination. But it'll be confirmed it's going to be working with the Medal of Honor VR team, which I think we actually theorised the other week when we had the Jedi Fallen Order 2 leaks or rumours. That the Medal of Honor team being put onto this could be a good move as a shooter collaboration.
Yeah, with DICE, because whether you love or hate Battlefront, the game run amazingly well.
It looked beautiful.
It was so beautiful, it was so smooth. Give me the best things about that game was the story beats when they weren't just suddenly going into random one-off character stuff. Like, it's the meme of Luke Skywalker killing bugs. Like, it was a completely unnecessary level. I did nothing for their overall story.
Yeah, it was just.
But they came into like, a hero of the week almost thing, where this, like, the story with Iden Versio started off well, ended well, but suddenly the middle section was missing.
Yeah.
And her story, but I think
there
could be a really good game there. I want to be a stormtrooper.
There's so much. Again, Star Wars is so rich in everything that could go off anywhere. They have clarified though that the first-person shooter is not Battlefront 3.
Yeah.
So they have came out and said, it's not going to be another iteration. Which I'm kind of thinking, like, I would love to see. I've said many times on the show, like, I just need a Battlefront world, a Battlefront Galaxy. I just want it to be a games as a service live thing where we get seasonal content. Akin to the Mandalorian DLC, or there's a new Rogue One's come out, so he's some content for that, rather than it be a paid in and out game, free to play, all the seasonal content and battle passes and shit, of course, but keep it going.
I think EA are still kind of trying to repair their relationship with gamers when it comes to Star Wars content. Jedi Fallen Order, I think is probably going to be the first significant step to that. If that game wasn't critically acclaimed and commercially successful, these 3 titles probably wouldn't have been greenlit. Possibly, I think if these 3 titles land, I think in the next batch of games you might see a Battlefront 3. But I think by then, hopefully, EA and Star Wars will repair itself. But if the next game was a Battlefront 3 and they're going, it's multiplayer only and it's going to be full of microtransactions, any good work they've made, like progress made with Jedi Fallen Order, gets people going, oh well, back to EA being EA.
Yeah, like, it's an interesting one.
I think
because
it's probably the right call.
Yeah, I can get why they do it for now, because obviously it came out in 2017 and it had a okay campaign. It was vastly overshadowed by the loot box saga that was happening at the time. It kind of gripped the whole games industry, and everyone was critiquing it for that.
It became the poster child for loot boxes.
Yeah, it did, along with other things. But then it had its Celebration Edition. They added more maps and packs. And if you look on Steam now, it's reviewed and it's actually quite well revered. And they kept supporting it. But then they just suddenly stopped, and it was like, that's it. As though like Star Wars stopped making things, even though we've had several TV show seasons on Disney Plus now, and there's a whole new movie thing in the works. It seems odd to just drop the baton when the game was just starting to maybe have a bit of a renaissance. But that's game development. Studios need to move on.
Maybe the game... Yeah, I've got a feeling the game probably had a renaissance in the way it was perceived, but if it didn't have it in terms of playing numbers, they might have just went, you know what, we're not going to be able to... This game is what it is now. We're not going to be able to get any more people in. It's probably been a bit too long now since it launched to kind of truly resurrect it. And then if like the developers are moving on to... I mean, EA are working on 3 Star Wars titles... Yeah. Someone's got to make them.
That's true. And the third one we should get to as well. Respawn is also working on a Star Wars strategy game via a publishing collaboration with BitReactor. For those who don't know, BitReactor, they're a recently founded studio made up of veterans from the XCOM and Civilization developers from Firaxis Games, who are about to kickstart with Marvel's Midnight Suns later this year. So, Star Wars meets XCOM and Civ. Got to be something there. I mean, I'm a massive fan of Empire at War for the PC back in the day. Essentially Command and Conquer. It was essentially Command and Conquer, but with Star Wars, and it was awesome. So good. Control the galaxy, jump from planet to planet, have your little skirmish missions akin to like Battle for Middle Earth and stuff, and Age of Empires. Wow, lovely games. I'd love a modern take on those, albeit with an XCOM twist maybe from these Firaxis devs. But it's just interesting that EA, we know the 10 years is up this year, but they're clearly going to work in collaboration with LucasArts going forward. We've got Ubisoft working on a game. We've got the Knights of the Old Republic remake happening over at PlayStation exclusively. It's just, if you're a Star Wars fan, we're on the cusp of kind of like a new slew of games coming through.
I'm very actually quite optimistic for these. I know a lot of people are still a bit funny about EA, but EA losing the exclusivity license, and now they're basically going on a contract by contract basis, means that Disney have a lot more control over the IP and how it interacts with it, and they'll have probably a lot more say on what mechanics can and can't go into these games. So with that sort of a bit more oversight from, I know Disney, a mega corporation, want to make tons of money, but they do care about. Disney will not want a Battlefront 2 controversy coming out. They they will absolutely not. I think they'd rather lose the money on the development of the game than launch that.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you should say that.
It's,
did you see this past week some leaked footage from the cancelled 1313 Boba Fett game came out?
I did, yeah.
Did you get a chance to watch it?
Pretty cool.
It did.
I watched a bit of it.
It's just, again, it was like Uncharted in space was the way. Well, actually, it was on like Coruscant in the lower levels on 1313, but again, Boba Fett or just a bounty hunter in general lends itself so well to a game. Like we had the bounty hunter game way back when. But it's just such a cool concept of like Uncharted traversal, action set pieces, an assortment of weapons in a third-person game. Obviously, Jedi Fallen is great because you got the lightsaber, but there's something cool about being a bounty hunter and hunting targets down in the Star Wars universe.
What makes Star Wars great as an IP is so rich is it doesn't have to be focused on the Jedi, on the Skywalkers. We saw that with Rogue One. Yeah. Rogue One is one of the best Star Wars films. Favorite. And the closest you got to a Jedi was the monk guy. I can't remember his name with the staff. He was awesome.
Shit, yeah.
But he wasn't the centerpiece of that movie. It was very much a war film, and so it's it shows you what you can do. That's why I think with the first-person shooter, make it like more grounded. Make it as either you're playing as a rebel soldier or as a stormtrooper. Very narrative-driven.
Yeah, give me it.
Yeah, like you don't need to have Jedi in every film, every game.
Of course, the reboot movies got kind of critiqued for saying it had such a good premise for setting up Finn being a stormtrooper who's an actual human being, and he doesn't want to live that life. And they set up the foundation for what could have been a great story arc, and then threw that all out in the script. But that could make for a great telling. Like you live.
We don't talk about Last Jedi,
but that made for like a great like script premise for you could play as a stormtrooper, living doing the grunt work, but breaking free and moving over to the rebellion side or something. But we digress. We're big Star Wars fans. I can't wait to see what these games all look like. But more importantly, I have faith that they will come to the platform in the case of Jedi Fallen Order 2. We want that EA relationship to build and grow. In terms of Ubisoft and what their game looks like coming over from their open world experience from Supermassive, I'm a big fan of what that's going to look like. It's just a case of if and when. Hopefully by the end of the year we'll know something. But yes, 3 Star Wars games in development over a year, not including the rest. But big things on the horizon. 2 sons, some would say. Speaking of sons, the Sun family is one of the favoured families in Dynasty Warriors, or Dynasty Warriors, Richie. That was a tangential crossover, but you know what? The Sun family, the red...
You made it work.
They work, yeah. Sun Jian and stuff are here. Of course, Dynasty Warriors 9 Empires, we mentioned a few weeks back, will be coming to Stadia, as confirmed by developers Koei Tecmo. However, they did say it will be coming at a later date. Well, the great news now is they've confirmed over on Twitter that, in fact, it will be arriving day and date on 15th of February, along with everybody else. And if you do want to, if you have an Xbox or a PlayStation, there is a demo up live now, which I've downloaded, and I will intend to check out, Richie, by the time we get to next week's show, just to see what it's about. Of course, the Empires games are the spin-off kind of iterations that happen between the main story franchises. It takes a bit more of a tactical approach, but yes, you can experience 1 versus 1,000 action with all those tactical elements as you play through the Romance of the Three Kingdoms, the famed story of Chinese history, in a very hack and slash action adventure game when it comes to Stadia in just 2 weeks' time. I'm looking forward to it. However, it will need to be the right price. I have seen some people over on Twitter say it's earmarked for 60 quid.
For me, I don't really have much. I've never really played a Dynasty Warriors game apart from occasionally around yours as a kid. I've never owned one. Yeah. This is the game. If it was pro, I'd definitely play it. But as a full price game, I'd definitely go and give it a pass. Yeah. So it's like, again, I think it falls into, if you're going to play this game for like 60 to 100 hours, it's probably worth the money.
Mm-hmm. This is one of those franchises that I fell in love with because of Dynasty Warriors 2 and just like how the hack and slash action as like a 13-year-old, maybe 14-year-old, it just kept me busy. Me and my brother used to play this for just hours and hours on end, and we know everything we know about Chinese mythology from these titles. The legends.
It's ultimate power fantasy because you're playing as this one hero and there's millions of enemies to just munch through.
And, completely right. And I love to see the characters and the families and so. And it's the same story. We should point out it's the same story that they retell every single iteration of the game. With like sometimes they add new campaigns, new expansions into it. When they introduced like the big mammoth elephants in one of the expansions was hilarious. But yes, we will see more about that. I might stream it if it comes at the right price. Again, I think similar to you, as much as I have a lot of love for this franchise, as time's gone on and other games have raised the bar to that what a AAA game is. I don't have the budget in my life right now to play this when I've got like the likes of Horizon Zero Dawn sitting on my doorstep as well. But great news is that it's coming day and date. So if you are a fan of the Dynasty Warriors genre, the first game in the series is now available on 15th of February. Good shout. Speaking of continued support as well, our next story of the week covers and goes back to the Elder Scrolls Online. It is getting some additional content for 2022. The Elder Scrolls Online did a never-seen-before world teaser from ZeniMax Online Studios this last week via their YouTube channel, and they expanded on the upcoming title expansion, the High Isle. And within that, there is something called the Legacy of the Bretons. And Richie, you're probably more akin with Elder Scrolls. You're a big player of the Morrowind and such back in the day.
Yep.
You still checking this game out, or is it?
No, I kind of. I when it came out, I played it with Tom, and I played it a bit after. The problem is, I kind of made an active decision where I don't want to get sucked into another MMO. It's like, I think spending thousands and thousands of hours in a single game, I'm beyond that point in my life, unfortunately. There's so many games I want to play where a game like ESO becomes the hobby itself. Like,
kind of like
but
Destiny
the one thing,
people.
Yeah, I think it's a good game though. Like, but it's just like, well, I don't want to get sucked into this. Like, one thing I noticed as well about this is it's actually coming day and date with PC, and rest of other consoles getting it 2 weeks later.
Yeah, first on Stadia for a console cloud release in a kind of way. It's an interesting one for me because I wrote the article for Stadia Source and I read through the whole like kind of blog post announcement, and because I haven't played the game, I don't really have any context for it. I'd imagine it's someone who's never like read Lord of the Rings and then they're all of a sudden told about the race of Gondor and Rohan and all that. It kind of just doesn't really land. So I did my best to pull stuff together, but it seems as though the Legacy of the Bretons is kind of an expansion within their entire year's roadmap, which is the one I just mentioned. I've already forgot it. Why is my brain going blank?
I think Legacy of the Bretons. Correct us in the comments if we're wrong here. I think Legacy of Bretons is kind of the season that we're currently in. High Isle is this section of the season.
I read it the other way around. Either way, if you are
an
SO fan, let us know. Again, good points to pull out is the content is still coming through the pipeline, even though Microsoft own these studios now. They're still putting out the content, and more importantly, you can play it on Stadia 6th of June, 2 whole weeks before your console counterparts as well. Do go check out the live stream video content. It shows a nice cinematic trailer, and more importantly, they have said the update will bring new villains, new main storyline quests, some standalone side quests, new PvE trials, companions, world bosses, and some unique rewards in the case of achievements, collectibles, and much, much more. So it's one of those games I think is just never going to go away. So yeah, the video makes it look like High Isle is the year content, and then Legacy of Bretons is the kind of interstitial bit in between with new mounts.
Yeah, it might
pets.
be.
But again, do let us know in the comments before. As we said at the top of the show, we are only human, but we will do our best to bring you the report. So ESO continues to grow. Moving on, we've got another game which was teased this week, not confirmed for Stadia, but we'll cover it anyway because Crysis has announced that there is going to be a 4th entry in the Crysis series. So we had a little chat, Richie, pre-show about this one. You and me never played Crysis before.
Nope. I mainly know Crysis for the Will It Play Crysis memes back in the day. That's my touchstone, my touch base for Crysis. So
the key question
I don't really know
is will Stadia play Crysis? That's what we need to find out.
Oh, no, we absolutely could probably play it.
They did tease the 4th entry in the series. So, and I reading straight from the blog, to everyone in our amazing Crysis community and to all the fans of the franchise around the world, we have a special announcement to make just for you. It's something you've been asking us for a long time, and it's now finally to confirm, yes, a new Crysis game is happening. We are so pleased and excited to bring this news to you, and we really can't wait to reveal more details about what lies ahead. Right now, the game is in early stage of development, and it will be a while yet, but we wanted to bring you the news this time so you are hyped for the future, and to let you know we'll be listening to our community going forward. Of course, last year they had the Crisis Trilogy Remastered, came to all these other platforms. You and myself said we hope it comes to Stadia. It will be a great trilogy collection to get on the platform. As you said, it will run no doubt on Stadia's hardware, and it's from the Crytek team, so they are one of the few third-party publishers, I guess, left in the world that Microsoft haven't gobbled up. They're not exclusively partnered with PlayStation or Nintendo. So again, I'd like to hope the Stadia team is out there trying to broker these deals with these second-party, third-party relationships, but we're yet to see. But we wanted to put a little pin in that one because, again, the Crysis engine and also the Crysis games are obviously a part of gaming history, and with them having recent remasters and hopefully a renaissance, I think that's what they're going for, similar to probably what Saints Row and everything are looking for. It's one to keep our eyes on for the future.
Yeah, I think it's good. I hope it does well. It's published by EA, isn't it?
Originally it was, yeah.
Originally.
I don't know if
it's the new one.
I don't know. I mean, I guess it is, but they might have self-published them. But yeah, the Crysis games, again, it's like a sci-fi shooter within like dystopian worlds around. I think the first one's on an island, then it goes to New York, and there's alien/biotech stealth mechanics. But it's very much, if you've ever played Killzone, Far Cry, it's kind of that type of world traversal, using bows, lasers, guns, bombs, missiles, that kind of shtick.
Yeah, it's self-published.
Self-published this time around. Right. Interesting. Just looking at the website now, they actually did the original Far Cry game for Ubisoft back in the day, which makes sense why it would play similar to Far Cry if they're using their own engine, and then that makes much more sense. Fantastic. See, putting the pieces together. Moving on then, we've got another story dropped into the dock for the week, and that is, hopefully, we'll be seeing some expansions for Google Stadia. As we move into 2022, you, myself, Richie, have said many times we want what our kind of, not hopes and dreams, but what the future looks like in 2022. And over on Reddit, some keen-eyed people have noticed that Stadia has now officially had its landmark registration completed in Brazil. So for those who don't know, it means the certification to use the Google branding and copyright has been kind of locked in. And also this week we've seen a couple of games be rated on the Brazilian ratings board, which, putting two and two together, Richie, seems like we might see a country expansion in the imminent future.
Yeah, I mean, there's evidence that that was shared on this Reddit post that Google have been trying to get the registration through since January 2019. Before we go any further, everyone take this as massive speculation. Take anything we say at this point with a pinch of salt. I think this is looking. It feels like this has come together. We know how much people in Brazil have been clamouring for Stadia. Video game. Actually, a good watch is Bryant over at the Nerf Report's video on it, because he mentions things like, it goes into things like the cost of gaming in Brazil, and it's something like equivalent of a PlayStation 5 would be, where it's around, I think it's around about $500. It's about probably like $800-900 equivalent in Brazil. So it's hugely expensive to get the hardware in Brazil. So that's why like cloud gaming would be perfect for that country. Yeah, because it just bypasses that upfront cost.
Yeah, I think it's just in general the rollout of cloud infrastructures into Brazil as well. Google have been spending more money into increasing their presence in South America. And more gamers the better. We know they want to expand into more territories. The whole benefit of cloud, as you've alluded to there, is the price of entry. And Brazil, I think for many years, PlayStation 2s was still like one of the most hard sought pieces of hardware, just because they've been around for so long. They were priced reasonably to get hold of. PlayStation 3, crazy expensive. PlayStation 4, probably cheaper, but again, you're totally right. It's holding them back from AAA experiences just down to the sheer costs. Like, I wouldn't probably have a PS5 if it cost 800-900 quid. I'd have to take a loan out to buy the damn thing. So that's where cloud gaming can really, really elevate AAA experiences on the tech people already have. We know I've got first-hand proof of it running on a crappy old laptop. So yes, why wouldn't they? I think we've said that about places as well. We want them to expand into India as well. There's a massive clamber for it there with Google's relationship with India and the sheer size of the population. I think I still want to see them expanding in Japan and Australia. I'd love to see our Aussie friends finally get in on this cloud gaming a bit more.
Yeah, Australia would be good. I think Japan's going to be more tricky.
Yeah.
But it's doable. China's basically off the table. If I was Google, I probably wouldn't be even considering China at this point in time because their relationship is not very good. So
until they partner with Tencent to fight off Microsoft and some crazy mega deal.
But if you can get into Brazil and India and Australia, suddenly you're getting Stadia controllers in the hands of more people. And as actually, we should point out as well, some of our friends over in Scandinavia sometimes have troubles getting the hands on Stadia hardware, so Google need to sort that out.
Yeah, there's a bigger physical presence as well. But we've said this before many times on the show.
And that's Google as a whole. I think there's one guy in our Discord talking about struggling to get his hands on a Pixel.
Yeah, he had to import it.
Yeah.
But hardware, software aside, there is a great point in the Reddit thread that does point out that the likes of Samsung and LG have nearly 70% of the TV market share in Brazil. So we know recently they've been certified for having the apps on the smart TVs. That, again, could be another great foot in the door. But it's all about the year ahead and how they push themselves a market. Because it's no good rolling out to a new country if you don't have the content to back it up. So... yeah, we shall see. We shall see with that one. But we wanted to keep an eye on it. Again, nothing official, but still, we wanted to keep an eye on it just because. Elsewhere in the cloud gaming news, Unity Engine. It runs on a couple of games, and Unity recently announced this week that they've acquired Ziva Dynamics. The only reason, Richie, I wanted to really bring this into the show is because they published a very uncanny valley video of an animated lady having a conversation around how proud they are to join the team. These developers have basically, not only do they use Unity, but they've done a lot of stuff for television and movies and stuff recently. They've been acquired. It's facial mocap and animation. And the thing that creeps me out in the video, Richie, is the woman doesn't blink at all, barely. I think that's what makes it the most unrealistic.
Yeah, I'm watching it now as we're talking, and she doesn't. That's the one thing they need to work on. Get her blinking.
Yeah, I mean, she does blink.
At a glance,
it does look phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks amazing. It does look amazing. Like, it's one you just. I think people just need to go find the video and watch it to really understand the quality of it. It's like it's kind of scary.
Yeah, the shadowing and the best thing I think is the head movements and the neck and the body. It's all moving as one unit rather than just the facial animations. But yeah, it's the graphic fidelity is getting insane for facial animations now.
I wouldn't expect anything like this in games just yet, because this is probably the upper limit of what they can do with their tech.
Demo,
and when you're running a game, you're going to step quite a few steps back for that to make the game actually playable, because not every character is going to be able to look like this and work like this, because it's just not realistic. But for things like in the movie space, like...
crazy.
It's really interesting to see how far the tech can go.
Yeah. The character is called Emma, and she's powered by state-of-the-art machine learning and running in real time using Unity. Her model was trained with over 30 terabytes of unique 4D data using a ZRT trainer, which enables her to emote over 72,000 trained shapes and achieve entirely novel face poses. This is deep tech for amazingly realistic animation, incredible emotive performances, letting characters shine in demanding real-time environments. And soon it'll be accessible to artists and creators of all levels. So yeah, just want to touch on that, just see how the industry is moving forward. Of course, Unity acquired or partnered with Weta Digital, did they not? A few months back, I think we covered that as well. They bought them for
I believe so,
many millions. So Unity doing things in the background, probably to combat Unreal, the new Unreal engine that's about to roll. Well, is in current process of being rolled out. They want to probably play. This is probably their big stake to make sure that they're not falling out of favour with developers and TV and movies.
I sometimes wonder if you're like a software developer, like an engine developer, like Unity or Unreal. How much are you getting held back by the hardware that's available to your developers? Because every time like there's a significant step up in hardware, I think that's the time for you to kind of flex your muscles a bit. Where you'll go, okay, what's the best thing we can produce with this hardware? And showcase it. And that's probably what they've done there. This will probably be on like the absolute top end AMD or Nvidia graphics cards, CPUs, like the works. But realistically, you're not going to have that in your PlayStation or through Stadia or on your PC.
Yeah, I mean, just the sheer amount of data it said just to make that clip, it just shows you where the future is. And with game, I think this last week with some few big game releases, the sheer file size within your physical hardware is getting bigger. And again, this is where cloud can elevate that. So hopefully we'll see some of that put into practice in the future. Final stories of the week as we wind down the show, everybody. Next up, we've got Ubisoft news. Not Stadia related, but Ubisoft are such good partners, we thought we'd mention it anyway. We've theorised sometimes how in probably last summer, HyperScape would have been a great title to come over to Stadia as a action battle royale sci-fi shooter. However, Richie, it looks like that will not be the case ever, because a little over 18 months after launch, Ubisoft is calling time on HyperScape. The reasonably entertaining, well-presented, free-to-play battle royale genre made its debut in 2020 after a short PC beta, and it received a lukewarm reception. And it was quoted, actually the article I'm reading from is Eurogamer, as smart as it is generic. Seems about Ubisoft in a nutshell at this moment in time.
Yeah.
And they then...
I remember thinking about this game when it came out. I was like, oh wait, this game came out like 4 months ago. Like,
we played it.
It just seemed...
I played it. I checked it out.
It just feel like a game. I was like, oh, here's an interesting concept Ubisoft are doing a battle royale, and then, oh, Hyper isn't doing as well as expected. It's like, what came out?
Yeah.
Like, it just... That bit in the middle of the launch just seemed to just completely pass me by.
It happens interesting with a lot of games. Of course, the game seemed to take a lot of Ubisoft assets, which we critique them quite. I think it's becoming more and more common that the games look very similar no matter what franchise they're on. Yeah. But the reality is they've came out, and I read straight from the blog post on the website, we've made the difficult decision to end development of HyperScape and shut the game down as of April 28th. The publisher wrote on its website early today. We set out to create a vertical, close quarters and fast-paced shooter experience, and we are extremely grateful to our community for joining us on our journey. We will be taking key learnings from this game into our future products. To the HyperScape community, thank you for your passion and dedication to the world of Neo Arcadia. Again, not to be confused with the Life is Strange Arcadia Bay. Seems to be a theme throughout this episode. Both inside and outside the game, your devotion to the game we built will always be cherished. So... Ubisoft pulling the plug, Richie. I hope this doesn't set a precedence for other titles. Of course, you and me just been enjoying Rainbow Six Extraction. In 18 months, will we hear the same story for Extraction, or...
I don't know. I think Extraction's still got a bit of buzz around it, where I think, as I said, HyperScape just seemed to come out and then no one seemed to care. And it just, I don't know, I just didn't hear any real coverage at the time it came out. It's just like, it's probably just in the blog post, oh, HyperScape's out. I didn't see any real YouTube coverage or any podcasts talking about it at the time. It was like, so I just completely missed the launch. It's
so interesting in like a different world how like Apex Legends stealth dropped over a weekend and then it just became huge, and it's like keeps getting support and it's growing with season content and stuff. And obviously Ubisoft wanted, as most developers and publishers do, they want a slice of that battle royale pie phenomenon that just keeps churning out money.
I wonder if they were just too late to market with it.
I think that was the problem. There's only so many players out there, and if they're all playing Fortnite and Warzone and stuff, and if your game just doesn't quite scratch the itch, then what are you going to do?
I wonder if it came out now, because it's been a while since the new Battle Royale. It might have done better, because it's been a while since the new Battle Royale came out.
That's what I was thinking.
Where if this was a bit too close, like Warzone, and a bit too close to Apex, it's like Fortnite was probably still at its peak. Yeah. At the time of launch, it's like, well, I don't need another battle royale. Mm-hmm. But now it's like if you're playing Warzone, you're getting a bit bored of it. You like battle royales, but you want something to freshen it up. Yeah. It might just literally been a timing thing, where no one cared because everyone's preoccupied with other stuff.
Interestingly enough, I think this game would have fared better, similar to what you've just said, if it was a $29.99 outright purchase, but then it came on Game Pass day one. Yeah. Similar to Extraction. Extraction's got 3 million people playing it right now, but I hope it doesn't set a precedence. It's interesting to think that they're canning HyperScape, and yet they're committed to Tom Clancy's X-Defiant, which looks like another take on this.
I think the precedence is already well established. If you launch a multiplayer game that's free to play and not enough people playing it, and not enough people are spending money in game, it will go away. Yeah. That's the precedent. It's like that's what's happened here. It's like, it's a business decision. It's like it's not making enough money for Ubisoft to keep supporting it.
Yep. And yeah, if you're not bringing the money in, how do you pay for the staff? How do you pay for updates and keeping those servers live?
So, I mean, it basically comes down to fans of HyperScape should have bought more than NFTs.
Don't bring that up. Don't bring that
Sorry.
Right, let's pivot away from NFT talk and HyperScape talk to the final few stories of the week. Just some quick, nice ones for you folks out there. Rainbow Six Siege will be collaborating with Rick and Morty randomly.
This is weird, but okay.
It is weird, yeah. The new Rick and Morty bundles are available for Ace and Thermite. Grab them now within Rainbow Six Siege. One of the most random crossovers possible. I did want to ask Richie, how do you feel about quirky, wacky crossovers coming into your serious, grounded world of Rainbow Six Siege?
I'm okay with it at this point. It's been around. Rainbow Six Siege has been around long enough. You can have a bit more fun with it, and it's cosmetics only, really. So
yeah, it's not quite
have fun.
It's not quite the bad guys turn into like Pickle Rick and stuff when they're chasing you down.
Yeah, and let's be fair, the game needs to find ways to make money out of his audience in order for it to keep supporting. So if you're a Rick and Morty fan and you're a Rainbow Six Siege fan, you're gonna have some fun walking around as the Meeseeks.
Yeah, that is true. It could have.
Although I think a bright blue costume is probably disadvantaging that game.
Yeah, just a little bit. I would love though some little tweaks. So like when you put your blast charge on the door, it is like Pickle Rick or something.
I hope they do voice acting would be good.
Yeah,
that'd be good fun. If you are dressed as Rick and you actually have Rick's voice actor, it just overwrites whatever character you're in.
That would be funny. But yeah, check that out in Rainbow Six Siege. Of course, if you do have Extraction and Siege, you get some crossover of operators there too. So check that out. Final ones, Farming Simulator 2022 has sold more than 3 million copies. So a little shout out to Farming Simulator there. Plenty of accolades coming across the field. Millions of them have played the game since its launch last November. Of course, it is on Google Stadia as well. And it's great to see a self-published game do so well. And these simulator games, man, people just love them. Many hours of fun to be had in there. So shout out to Farming Simulator. And then the final one for the week, going back to the community blog again. Not only did they kickstart our February off with a bunch of pro titles, they also dropped another mega sale. If you head over now to the Stadia store, there is an entire sales section for both pro and non-pro members, featuring titles like Assassin's Creed, all the way through to Dead by Daylight. And there's so many Dead by Daylight DLCs, it takes me a while to get down. Rainbow Six, The Crew, Tom Clancy's Division, all the Watch Dogs titles, and much more. Richie, I will say though, at the end of all these sales, do you keep looking at the sales now and just think it's the same shit on sale every week?
Well, I've said this for a while. At the moment, I've already owned everything I want to play on Stadia. So while this sale is excellent, genuinely there's some really absolute bargains to be had here. None of them interest me at all because I have them or don't care. But I mean, that's just me personally, and because I've been supporting Stadia since day one, so I've got every single pro game that's come out. But yeah, I mean, it's one of them. If there's a game you're thinking about buying on Stadia, check the sale. It's probably on it.
Yeah, it is indeed. If you've been hanging on for that little bit longer, get your eyes over there and check it out.
Marvel's Avengers, £18. That's a good weekend for you.
Could be more than a good weekend. Division 2, £7.49. Can't go wrong. The original Tomb Raider reboot, £2.39 on Pro.
Doom 2016, £3.74. That is a bargain. See, that's such a good game. For £4.
Crazy, man.
Even if you're not a big fan of first-person shooters, and you're just I just want something to play for a couple of hours. There you go.
Yeah. Watch Dogs Legion, £16.79. No, they're not supported anymore. But £16 for a game that came out just over a year ago. Crazy value. So go check those out. Let us know what you plan on buying in the comments down below. But remember, folks, don't forget to like, subscribe, click that bell so you're kept in the loop with all of the content that we bring you here at Hades Cloud Games. Like this very show, the Sounds of Stadia podcast, like our first looks and our live streams, and more importantly, our year anniversary of SideQuest, where myself and Richie had a lovely hour-long plus conversation with the one and only Grace Yang, the previous community manager for Google Stadia, just moving into a new role. We spoke about gaming, communities, hobbies, and everything in between. It's available now to our members, so if you are watching this on the Monday when this show goes live, don't forget to click join below. For as little as 99p, you can help support the channel, you can support us through a little bit more and help us grow and bring you better cloud and Stadia content. We do appreciate all 50 of our members across YouTube and Patreon so much. it makes us work even harder to bring you the best stuff. But that is available now. If not, it is available on free feeds later this week. So don't fear if you don't have the spare cash to share. It's coming to you all the same. Richie, it's been another week. Episode 123. We'll be playing some pro games this Thursday as part of our live stream. Looking forward to checking it out. My name's been Chris.
And I've been Richie.
We've been Sounds of Stadia. And don't forget, folks, play whatever makes you the happiest. Have a great week. Have a great weekend. We'll see you all soon. Goodbye.
Bye.